Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Crusading, aka James, aka James Really Do It. And I got a little bit of a different video here. It might make a couple of people mad, but I am the Gideon Ofnir of FromSoft bosses. I am the all fucking knowing, and with my skills, I have put together a list of the top 15 boss fights. In my opinion, hold on, you fucking FromSoft keyboard warriors. My opinion, the top 15 boss fights from FromSoft. I have not played the PlayStation exclusives because fuck Sony. I will never buy a Sony product except for their speakers. And so I have not played Bloodborne and Demon Souls. And honestly, if they never get to PC, I probably won't. So, with that being said, from Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 3, Sekiro, and Elden Ring, including all the DLCs, we have compiled this list. Now, before I show this list, I just want everybody here to know it is not based off of difficulty. I know, the FromSoft community is going to hate me for that. The fucking level 1 fist weapon using Giga Chads out there have already clicked off the video. That's fine. That's fine. I base boss fights off of how they feel, how they look, how they are in the lore, and I kind of culminate it all together to get a big picture of what the ranking is for the boss. And here is how they line up. I don't think this is a bad list. We're going to explain it. We're going to go from the bottom up. We're going to explain a couple of honorable mentions, why things didn't make the list, why things did. And you guys will kind of see into why I think these are the top 15. So let's kick it off with the honorable mentions. Melania was an honorable mention, just didn't quite make the cut. Midra, Lord of Frenzied Flame, honorable mention. Trying to think, anybody else from the base game of Elden Ring? I don't think so. You could argue Godfrey. Godfrey's probably top 25. Yeah, I don't think he's top 15. Dark Souls 3, Dancer, the Boreal Valley came close. Abyss Watchers came close. Lothric Princes came close. Soul of Cinder came close. Looking Glass Knight, Fume Knight, those came close. Sif kind of came close a little bit. Every person in the honorable mentions is in the top 25, top 30 boss fights they've ever made. Father from Sekiro, he came pretty close. There's a lot of really, really good potential bosses that almost made the list. They just aren't this top 15. They just aren't. We'll go from the bottom up, like I said. But what you're seeing here is fights that ultimately, when you get them down, they feel extremely good. They're extremely rewarding. They do have some difficulty. There's only one on the list I would say doesn't really have a lot of difficulty. Other than that, I think a good majority of these boss fights are super fun, super satisfying, visually satisfying. The combat is great, the mechanics are great, the story behind them is great, and so this is where they fall. We'll kick it off here on the bottom 3, Moog, Malekith, Rykard. I think these are really just solid feeling fights, and artistically, visually, these fights are stunning. The movesets, it makes you feel like you're actually fighting a god. It's amazing. These fights are incredible. Just above these guys, we got Mesmer. Mesmer honestly has potential to even go higher. Rhythmatically, Mesmer is a fucking awesome fight. When you get the iframes down and you understand where your windows are, Mesmer is an extremely satisfying but challenging fight. I would take Mesmer any day over Melania. And I kind of had to ask myself this conforming this list, like, let's just take Midra. Would I rather fight Midra over any of these bosses in the list? The answer is no, which is why it became an honorable mention. So there were a lot of bosses that were fighting for these bottom 3, bottom 4 spots, but ultimately this is where it fell because of preference. I think Mesmer is one of the best designed fights in the DLC. I honestly only think 2 come above it. And to be honest, now that I'm really looking at this list, Mesmer should be higher. Mesmer should be higher, or Rolana should be lower. We could say this is in no particular order, but honestly, as far as preference, it is. If you were to put any of these 15 and switch them up in any order, I probably wouldn't be too mad. I expect Gale at number 1, though, and we'll get there, okay? We'll fucking get there. So, Mesmer, number 12, you know, could be a little bit higher, or Rolana could drop a little bit lower, but ultimately, I think both of them deserve a top 15 spot. Scar Scourge Radahn, I don't need to fucking... Do I need to explain myself? You literally are fighting a god, a demigod, who's using gravity to hold up his horse, and you need a whole fucking army to beat him. For the most part, the first time you fight him. I don't know hardly anybody except for damn Kai Cenat that didn't use summons on the first time that you kill Radahn. First time I killed Radahn, I used summons. It felt like a genuine battle. It felt... And when you understand the lore behind Radahn, it makes the fight that much cooler. The festival and all that shit, it all adds in to giving Radahn the number 11 spot. Right ahead of that, you have Genichiro and you have Ishin, Sword Saint. These are, in my opinion, 2 of the best fights in Sekiro, hands down, no question. I didn't feel like explaining which Genichiro. If you want to go inner, you can do that, but ultimately just Genichiro as a fight, the way that his moves are designed are so butter and rhythmatic that you just you fall into a trance fighting Genichiro. Same with Ishin, and same with True Monk. We'll get there, though. So that's kind of where they fall. I think Ishin is a slightly better fight than Genichiro. I think Ishin takes the satisfaction and the rhythm and then adds different tempos, which is really cool. I'm a super huge fan of those 2 fights. You know, Genichiro oftentimes is the learner boss that really makes you go, oh shit, this is how the game works. And really teaches you the rhythm of how things work in that game as well. So that's why they kind of land there. Midir is, until the Shadow of the Erdtree, the best dragon fight FromSoft has ever made. Midir has great windows. You just have to get used to the fight. I absolutely love the arena that Midir is in. I love the secrecy of where Midir's at. Midir definitely deserves that 8th spot. You know, I fucking love Midir. Absolutely phenomenal fight. Next we have Nameless King. Again, same thing. It's just Nameless King, the rhythm is better than in Midir. So, you know, and the windows feel better and more, you know, calculated, and that like the devs were accounting for it, versus like Midir, sometimes you get like these weird hitboxes because he's so fucking big. Nameless King really is where you start to actually get like the 100% quality kicking in. And Ishin and Genichiro have that, but like I'm saying, the overall, like, for example, Genichiro's boss ring, I don't think is all too hot. You know, it's cool being on the top of the tower or whatnot, and then fighting him a little bit in the field. But I just don't think those compare to anything above 8. You know, there's a couple of other things. I think Genichiro is a little bit too easy, and honestly, I think Ishin Inner Ishin is a different story. I think regular Ishin, now that I've played it through, I think I beat the game twice now. He's not as hard as he was the first time. Versus like Midir, you could go back to Midir, you could go back to Nameless King, and you could die another 20 times. Like the fights are that well scaled for difficulty, and you know, I think to an extent, like I said, this list was hard to put together, and these are so close, and especially in the bigger scale of things, and how many fucking bosses could be on this list if you expanded it. I don't think this is too bogus. Just know you can interchange these how you please. So, above Nameless King, we got Rilana. I don't really feel like I have to explain. Rilana is a great DLC boss. Rilana is a great boss in general. You know, Rilana falls short with windows, and that's about the only problem I have with Rilana. I think the hit boxes are extremely fair. I think visually she has an insanely cool moveset. I think, you know, the second phase gives you Pontiff throwback. You know, it's good shit. The problem I have with Rilana, which is why she's not nowhere near as high as she could be, is because there's the windows feel kind of scuffed as far as your attack times and your punish times. And you have to be very careful with what attacks you do because she doesn't give very big windows. Her recovery is very high, and Rilana likes to chain combos together, so it really leaves you windowless as far as attacks. That is the only reason why Rilana is not higher on this list. And honestly, I think the chain combos can get so overwhelming that it can almost kind of drop Rilana a couple of tiers. In fact, if you were to move Rilana below Genichiro and above Radahn, I would understand. So that's what's going on with Rilana. Don't think anyone's too surprised with that. Here's where we get into the surprising ones. The next three, I think a lot of people will be surprised about, but I think once you hear why, it'll be less surprising. So first and foremost, Artorias. Artorias is one of the two only memorable fights for me out of Dark Souls Remastered. I think many of the other boss fights are forgettable as hell. The only other one I really remember that stands out as good is Sif. And the reason why is because I think Artorias is the first time FromSoft really dipped their feet in the step below where they were at in the water. You know, they're getting into the pool. They're like, all right, here's Sif. And then they go, Artorias. Like, hell yeah. Like, Artorias is the first time I was like, oh, shit. Okay, I fucking thought this game sucked. Turns out Artorias is where they started cooking. This is where they were like, we can actually make these boss fights fucking sick. And then boom, Dark Souls 3 came right out of that house pocket, that house design pocket. You know what I'm saying? I think Artorias probably inspired a lot of the FromSoft design moving forward. And Artorias really feels good. The boss design is great. The fucking arena is sick. Just a really fucking cool fight. You know, and this kind of leads into Fortisax. While Fortisax doesn't have the difficulty aspect, I think Fortisax visibly, artistically, and story-wise is one of the cooler fights in the game. In fact, visually, I think it might be one of the coolest things I've ever seen in video game history. Whenever you go on YouTube Shorts or on TikTok and you watch a cool edited version of like Elden Ring gameplay and they're doing like these crazy movesets, about half the ones that I've seen have been on Fortisax because the fight is so visually stunning. They absolutely knocked it out of the park. It is hands down the best visually appealing fight they might have ever made, to be honest. That's my opinion. You are more than welcome to leave your own in the comment section. I'd love to hear your top 15 list. Um, okay, here we go. How am I gonna defend this? How am I gonna defend this? Yes, True Monk from Sekiro is in the top 3. It absolutely washes Ishin Genichiro father. I know. I know. Everyone's wondering how. Here's my thing with the True Monk. So, True Monk is the culmination of everything that I look for in Sekiro. I think Sekiro is based on rhythm and melody, and I think True Monk executes this at the highest level you possibly could. I can't wait to go back in and play True Monk whenever I'm going through a playthrough. Um, it just feels so damn good. Like, you can read it and like you get the rhythm down and you just feel so damn good fighting it. I love the boss arena. I love the fucking branch that you can hop on with your little grappling hook in between phases. There's just a lot of really cool shit going on with this fight. But ultimately it's the feel that drives True Monk up into 3 for me. Like, it might be the best feeling fight they've ever made. And now we have Bale. Bale is so good, it should have been the final boss in Shadow of the Erdtree, and I don't even give a shit if it wouldn't have made sense. I said this in my Radon rant. If you missed that, it's in my streams category under live. You'll see it. It's titled Everyone is Wrong About Prime Consort Radon, because everyone is. That fight is dog shit. In fact, they should have just like shown a fucking trailer of like Radon flying up in the air and Bale and them fucking dapping each other up and then flying to each other's boss arena, you know, and then Radon's like the optional boss and Bale is the true final boss. That would have left, I guarantee you that would have left a better taste in people's mouth. Just saying. If I killed Bale and they were like, yeah, you beat the DLC, I'd be like, this was the greatest DLC of my life. It was the greatest. I would have had such a glow off of that shit that I would have been set for days. You know, I would have probably got like post-content depression. Anyways, Bale and Gale, ironically because they rhyme, are, in my opinion, the 2 most well-rounded, big picture, holy shit boss fights. Meaning, they did about everything right. Bale has a little bit less forgiving windows when it comes to punishing the boss than what Gale does. But I think regardless, the visual aspect of Bale, the story behind Bale, fucking Igon being some of the best voice acting I've ever heard in my fucking knee-slapping life. Holy shit. Give that guy a fucking raise. It's all butter. It's all butter. Gale and Bale are hands down the 2 best boss fights they have ever made. I don't even think I have to explain Gale. Do I really? Everybody knows Gale is the coolest fucking character they have ever made. He is a fucking Giga Chad. His sword is sick as fuck. Gale's abilities are cool. His crossbow, the cutscenes, the story, everything lines up perfectly with Gale to, in my opinion, be the best fight they have ever made in the history of any of their games. Now I know. What about Orphan of Kos? What about this Bloodborne boss? What about this Demon's... Actually, you know what? No Demon Souls boss is making the top 15. Let's all be fucking honest with ourselves. Also, you might have noticed, no Dark Souls 2. I also don't think I have to explain that. So, there it is. So, that about wraps it up. If you would like to see the top 15 worst boss fights from FromSoft, I can easily do that, and I would love to. Just leave your feedback in the comment section below. Let me know what your top 15 boss fights are. Let me know if you want to see the top 15 worst runbacks or whatever the case may be. You know, now that I've experienced all the games and very vividly I have no problem making lists like these. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed the video, make sure you leave a like, subscribe. If you are new, I'm trying to quit my fucking job. Please subscribe. Hit that bell so you know when I go live. We stream here on YouTube. We're the best fucking stream here on YouTube. The back-to-back. No, I'm playing. We're not going that route. We're not going that fucking route. Fuck that. We are the best stream on YouTube. We are the stone cold Steve Austin of FromSoft. So make sure you check us out. And, yeah, I hope you guys have a good morning, afternoon, evening, night, whenever the fuck you're watching this. Stay wavy. Peace.